Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Mary, wow, thank you so much for being on Coaching Call. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm honored to be here, Rafael.
It's an honor to have you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I'm excited for today's conversation. And as I start these, I always want to know about you. Tell me where you were born and who influenced you even before the age of, say, 15.
Great question. I was born in Munich, Germany. I'm the child of two Holocaust survivors.
Wow.
And your question is an excellent question because the journey I want to talk to you about starts when I was fired, but the courage that helped me thrive during the greatest setback in my life was my mother, who was a Holocaust survivor, who was incredibly brave. At the age of 13, she jumped from a cattle car meant for a death camp. And then once again, she escaped from a death march. And during my bleakest, darkest hours, I channeled the courage of my mother, who without her courage, I wouldn't be here.
Wow. Powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I'm sure your mom told you so many different stories that impacted your life in so many different ways. What do you recall most about the survival and the instincts to fight for that life that your mom continued to fight for?
Never give up. No matter how bad the odds are, no matter how bleak your situation, get out of bed and put one foot in front of the other. You cannot, no is not an option. Get out of bed, move forward. Because nobody can afford to not move forward, and we all have setbacks. We all do.
Wow, powerful. You said it twice, and it made me think, get out of bed. That's powerful. When you think about it, right? Most people, they keep hitting the snooze button. And so they delay their day because they don't want to face their day. When we should be alert and ready to go and get out of bed. I think that's a powerful statement right there.
Well, among the different pathways that you and I connect on is fitness and discipline. There's such a strong correlation between the darkest hour and physically sometimes the only thing you have control on. Because if you've lost your job or you're really struggling with the job, you may not have control over your current situation, but you can control your body and you can control your mind. And one way to control your mind is forcing that routine of getting out of bed and forcing yourself into that routine every day at the same time.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, for example, this morning, I didn't listen to my alarm because I don't know why I put an alarm. I had my alarm to go off at like 4:20 or something. But at 3:15, I woke up this morning. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll go back to sleep. Nope. And so I got up. I did some stuff. Then I hit the gym. I was at the gym by 4 a.m. when most people are not even up. So I was at the gym. I worked out for a good hour, came home, showered, went about my day doing things, connecting with people, reaching out to people, because I have clients all over the world. So it's about connecting with people who I know who are up at that time anyway. So it was pretty interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah. So you talk about that we're both aligned in the fitness aspects and the mentality, the habits. Talk to me about that. And when did you at what age did you realize that fitness was an important aspect in your life? Was it when you were a teen? Was it watching your mom or your dad? What was that like?
I would say it came, believe it or not, I've always loved fitness. I love feeling some control over my body and caring about how I look. But especially when I lost my job, it was the only thing that I felt I could control. There were so many unknowns. I didn't know when the next paycheck would come. I didn't know how I was going to support my family as a single mother. But one thing I knew is exercise is free. You can do it all the
Right.
time you want. And it gives you a mental clarity of, I got this. I have control. I have strength in one area. And
Mm.
if you feel it in one area, it's amazing how it transforms in other areas.
Mm. So, and I know you mentioned it already that you lost your job, and that really helped you understand and realign with who you are meant to be. Talk to us about what career paths you took, and then eventually that you were at this particular job and you lost your job, a single mom. Talk to me about your kids, one kid, two kids, 12 kids. I don't know.
2 daughters, and when I was
Nice.
fired, they were both young enough that I pretty much was the sole support of them. And at the time I was fired, I not only was I worried about feeding them, supporting them, keeping a roof over our heads, but there was the ever looming thought of not going to college was not an option for them.
Mm.
And losing my job, it was kind of like, oh my God, how did I get here? And the whole book that I've written, Fired to Inspired, is I got where I got because I didn't do the internal excavation to understand who I was. So you and I began talking today about how if you're lured by titles and you're lured by money, how at the end of the day, it
Right.
can be excruciatingly painful and eventually will affect your health because there's so long you can be a zombie and be an imposter. And
Right.
that's how I felt a big part of my professional life. So if your listeners are listening to us because they've been fired or they're stuck in jobs they hate, a word of wisdom I have is do the internal excavation to really
Mhm.
understand yourself. You asked a great question, Rafael, which is tell me about your childhood. Look at your childhood, look at your teen years, look at any hints of the puzzle piece of who you are.
Right.
What were things you've done, even if you didn't get paid, that brought you passion and joy? So the big part of the reason I lost my job after only 2 months is I never liked the job. I was never attracted to it. So if you don't really like what you do, there's not a good chance you're going to do very well.
Right. Right. What kind of job was it?
It was heading up marketing for a chain of religious assisted care and independent living facilities. I was head of
Mm.
marketing.
Mm. How'd you get to be head of marketing? I mean, you didn't just walk in one day and say, "Hey, this is the job I want." How did you accomplish even that title?
So right before that job, I had been on a job for 14 years as the senior vice president of marketing for a national managed care company. I
Mm.
was one of the 4 founders, and I had been doing the work for 14 years. It had no meaning. It had no meaning. Great title, great expenses, fun traveling, blah, blah, blah. And I reached a point of burning out so much that I took the first job that came along, and that was my big mistake. I took the first job that came along without doing the deep, deep dive work of who am I? What are my values? What excites me? What brings joy? And without doing that work, and by the way, I noticed on your site, this is something you do with your clients, is if you're not helping them with business, another area of expertise you have is helping people gather up, look at who are they? What are they about? And what kind of work brings connection and alignment?
True. Yeah. I think that, you said it very importantly that you took the next job that was available to you without figuring out if that was the right job for you, right? And
Yes,
a lot of people do that maybe because they feel like they need something to fill them, or they need to put food on the table. So a lot of people have done jobs that they're not proud of, or jobs that they never would have even stepped into unless somebody said, "Hey, you know what? Pay the bills." Right?
absolutely. Rafael, I did some research on a Gallup poll study showed that over 62% of people, working adults, are not aligned with the work they do. That means there's a lot of people, probably many of your listeners, who they do the job because they have to, but they don't. There's a way to make money and make joy and make meaning. It takes work.
It does. One of the things that I always say is that when I grow up, I'll get a job. And I say, I'm not going to grow up.
Good. I hope you never do.
I don't think I ever will. I love what I do. I love the fun aspects of it. And you and I both are in the same field, if you guess, and that's impacting the world that we live in, right? Because it's the world that we have to leave behind for others to be able to live in it and leave something for them to have.
Yes.
So talk to me about, you said you were 2 months in, you lost your job. You already had been at a previous job 14 years. You had you weren't the secretary. You weren't a low level employee. You were high level. And then you went to this other job and you were, would you say director of marketing? But
Yes.
you got fired. What happened?
Did. Rafael, I know you might want to edit this because I don't know if you find this appropriate or not, but I'm Jewish.
I'm not editing anything. I want the truth.
I'm Jewish. I took a job in a Christian chain, and there were so many red flags. One of them was part of the interview question is you're going to have to pray to Jesus before every meeting. Is that okay with you? And I was so concerned about the money and the title that it was like, yeah, that's fine. But Rafael, after a while, I felt like the fly in the buttermilk, the black fly in the, it was such a misfit. There were so many things that went wrong from the very beginning. There were multiple red flashing lights. When I was first shown around my job, I was shown these gorgeous offices with beautiful windows and sunshine. And it may not matter to some people, but when I showed up for work, I showed up sitting in a dark waiting room for 3 hours with no lights, shown to my office, which was in a dark hallway that looked like a dungeon or a set of a horror film.
Wow.
And to me, visuals matter. Sitting in a dark dungeon space, day one, I knew it all. You know how sometimes you just know a story is not going to be good just from the very beginning. And then the man that interviewed me, when he interviewed me, he was just kind, solicitous, warm, convivial. And week one, we would sit and we would have hour-long conversations. They were 1-hour monologues with him criticizing everything I did. And I couldn't understand how my first week I could do so much wrong.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But Rafael, the writing was on the wall from the moment from within minutes of starting the job. It felt wrong, wrong, wrong. And I kept saying to myself, okay, I can do this. I can hold on to this job till I retire because I'll collect a paycheck. And even then, as I'm saying that to myself, I'm thinking, I hear a voice inside of me saying, no, you can't stay here. You cannot stay here.
Right. So you're reminding me, I sat with some clients. Oh my God, this had to be 25 years ago, maybe 25 to 30 years ago. And my clients were extremely happy that their daughter got a scholarship. And I went out to eat with them, and they were super happy. And the daughter was there, and their son was there, and he was looking to get a scholarship in a different school. And they were Jewish as well. And one of the things that they said, I said, well, what school are you going to? It was an all Catholic college. And then I said, how do you feel about that? She goes, it's a free scholarship. I'm going to take it. I said, okay, great. I said, what are the requirements? Oh, I have to go to mass, several times a week or whatnot. And I said, are you going to be okay with that? I never spoke to her afterwards. But I'm wondering, because that has to be an internal turmoil. If I'm going to do something and I have to pray for something I don't believe, I think that's gonna hurt my spirit, right? Whether I'm Jewish, Muslim, Catholic, doesn't matter.
Of course, because it's who you are.
Else, it's gonna hurt my spirit. And even if I'm not religious at all, and now I'm forced to do something, or even if I don't have to pray, but I have to be in the presence of everybody else around me praying, I don't think that. So I was not sure how she was going to handle it. I don't still know, because as soon as she went to college, they stopped being my clients, because there were more folks. They actually moved. They also moved to where her college, near where her college was. And so it was pretty interesting. And I'm still curious, how did this young girl, did she stay at that school? Because she said she had to lie to get involved with it. And so right there, it's like, how do you deal with that, right?
Not a recipe for success.
Your turmoil when you were told you had to pray every time you came to work.
Yes. No, not just every time I came to work, before every meeting. And so I'd be in 3 or 4 meetings, and every one we had to say prayers to Jesus. And I hope I'm not offending any of your Christian listeners.
I hope
don't
not,
have any.
Because guess what? Not everybody believes in Jesus, and some people who did believe in Jesus at one time maybe don't anymore. I do believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
I used to be Roman Catholic, and now I'm Christian. So I still believe. I just believe differently, right? So we all have a belief. You're Jewish, you have your beliefs, and I respect you for your beliefs. And even if you were Muslim, your beliefs are your beliefs. I treat you as a human being first. And that's what I want everybody to understand. Whoever I'm in touch with, whoever's in front of me, I love them for the person they are. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So 2 months, they let you go because for some reason he didn't like your performance even from week 1.
Yeah. No. So he has a name in my book. I nicknamed him the Roach, because I thought that name really fit his personality. But he felt like when he fired me that he needed to give me every single reason why I was being fired. So when I sat down for my firing, he had a 2, maybe 3-page typewritten, single-spaced documentation of every reason why he fired me, because he said he was once fired and he wasn't sure why, and that he would make sure that every firing he did after that he would make absolutely sure the person he fired knew why.
Mm.
And nothing on his list was new because I would hear his critiques every single week in hour-long meetings. And Rafael, sometimes I look back over what happened and I think, if I had a do-over and if I was the person I am now, then I would have said, screw you, I'm out of here.
Mm.
I need a paycheck, but not that bad.
Right.
With the wisdom of hindsight, I wish I said, see you. But I was so worried about supporting my children. Of course, I didn't do that.
Right. Yeah. Well, you got to think about your children first. I think, our kids should always come first, right? So
Absolutely.
getting fired did something to you. Tell us about that.
Well, first I was in, it's almost like the death of a loved one. There are different
Mm.
stages of grieving, losing your connection to reality, losing your connection to a paycheck. You're humiliated. It's the ultimate form of rejection. But then, and I think you and I briefly talked about this on our pre-call, I am not Christian, but I'm deeply spiritual. And I've had signs from the universe of what I'm supposed to do. So about a week after I was fired, I was taking a long walk and I prayed because that's exercise. And I talk about this in my book, in my workbook
Mhm.
of how to embrace courage and overcome fear. And one of the things about prayer is you could do it all the time. It's free, just like
Right.
exercise. You can do it all the time.
Yes, it
It's
is.
free. I mean, you don't have to have a gym membership. You could just walk down the street. And
Mhm.
I remember praying to God, and I said, okay, here it is, God. I am terrified. I'm more scared. I'm more lost than I've ever been in my life. You have to help me here. And here's the deal. I'll make a deal with you. If you tell me what to do, I promise I will spend the rest of my life doing good for other people. And that led to my business. It leads to this book. It leads to volunteer work I've done for training people on how to overcome fear and move on with their lives. So I'm praying and I said, I promise you, I'll dedicate my life to helping people if you just tell me what to do. And I heard a voice. So
Mm.
the voice it didn't sound like your voice, but it was the same voice that said, no, 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 you can't stay on this job. That the voice said, medical associations. And I'm like, what? And the voice said, just go with it, medical association. So I came home and I started to do a technique that I highly recommend for your listeners lost. I got on the phone and I started making outbound cold calls to the CEOs of medical associations for the state of Ohio, and there are many.
Mm.
And I left a message that basically said, I'm a proven marketing and sales professional with years of healthcare experience. I just want to have a conversation with you to understand, how do I use my skills and my talents in your industry? I was very careful not to say I wanted a job, because when you
Mm.
say to someone, I want a job, if they don't
Right.
have a job, the conversation's over. What I
That's right.
wanted was a relationship. And Rafael, listening to the words that I told you I heard, and you may think I'm crazy, but honest to God, I had those taps on the shoulder that helped me from that point on build a business that I grew to 1,300 employees in
Oh
30
my goodness.
states.
Wow.
But 6 weeks after my informational interview with the Medical Association director, I got a call, and the call was, we don't have a job for you, but if you raise sponsorship dollars, you will get a percentage commission. Rafael, that was the beginning seed of this company that became the love and passion and work of my life.
Mm.
And so I discovered shortly afterwards that there was no way I could make those calls myself and feed my children. And I couldn't find able-bodied people to work for me. So my husband knew of a woman who was a quadriplegic.
Mm.
She had lost use of her legs and her arms. She couldn't get out of bed herself. She couldn't feed herself, but her mind was good.
Mm.
And I put her to work making outbound phone calls to the largest pharmaceuticals in this country. And within 4 months, she raised over $140,000
Oh
using
my goodness.
technology that enabled her to make outbound phone calls. And Rafael, what I didn't mention is that years before I was fired, I was so lost for so many years finding work that had meaning that I had seen a career coach. And after months and months of doing internal testing, the career coach said, you are meant to be a leader of an organization that has a social mission. I'm a clinical social worker and I love business. So I found my calling. I found the work I was always meant to do. I hired her. She was so successful. I went on to hire people who were blind, paraplegic, disabled veterans, people who had a myriad of physical and emotional mental health issues. And it turned out to be an amazing story because I untapped a workforce that the world has shunned. Employers don't know how to hire them. They don't know how to fire them. They don't know how to manage them. They don't know anything about hiring this untapped market. And this is, again, when this God thing came out of the blue. I'm like, maybe a year into this, I get a call from the Rehab Services Commission in Ohio who said, we have $80,000 to spend. We're not going to give you the money, but we'll spend it any way we can. So you just keep hiring people with the greatest disabilities. And I said, I want three things. I want software that will enable me to continue hiring people who are blind or paraplegic from home. I want laptops, and I want you to help me find a recruiter that will help me find skilled and talented people with disabilities to work for me.
Wow.
And they said, and at that point, I didn't have a business plan. And suddenly I had a business plan.
On the spot, you did.
Right. So, and I was following my bliss, and this was my bliss for 20 years. And I discovered that association work, while it was great, it was sporadic with inconsistent income and jobs. So somewhere along the line, I realized if I got government contracts doing call center work, I would be giving great benefits, competitive wages, and career pathways. And that's how I grew from 20 employees to within 90 days, we grew to 440 employees, getting my first major big government contract.
Wow. I love this story because you talked about an untapped market, but what you really did is you gave people who no one else gave a voice.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Love that. That really is beautiful. Congratulations on doing such in 90 days from 20 to 480. That's really incredible work.
So, Rafael, you not only help people who are searching for what their next job, their career is going to be, but you also help business people. And what I learned was the big contract I envisioned didn't happen for 7 years. So for 7 years, I scrambled, I hustled, but it was almost a godsend that it didn't happen earlier, because when I got the contract of my dreams, I had the team in place, I had processes in place, and I had built the foundation that created success. And sometimes your listeners might be really frustrated that their business is not as successful, but that's okay, because your listeners who are struggling to build their business, sometimes things have to happen in their own time and in their own way.
Yeah, I believe consistency is the key, right? Because a lot of people quit before they realize the benefits.
Yeah.
Consistency for sure, right? I'm Mr. Consistency. If anybody who knows me will tell you, I am. When I say I'm going to show up somewhere, I show up. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it, and I do it, and I do it, and I do it, and I don't quit. I don't know how to quit. So,
good.
Especially when it comes to helping somebody, right? I don't quit.
Good.
Yeah. Can I share a video with you? Just take a quick look.
Absolutely.
This is
of course.
Sifu's Mind Body Method. Take a look.
You followed the rules. tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today.
And one of the things that one of the last pillars that is shown there is called faith, right? And it doesn't matter your faith, because faith is faith. And even if you're a scientist and you say, I have no religion, you have a religion, you just don't know it, right? You have to believe in something. So faith is belief. For those people who say, I'm not this, I'm not that. But I think even somebody who says they have no religion in their life, they have to believe in something. So that's faith to me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've helped so many people who were never given a chance because of their condition, their disability. And meanwhile, you saw something, and you saw what I call an ability. Because when something else is disabled, something else becomes enabled, right?
Beautiful. Yeah.
So from this one particular woman who drummed up $140,000 of business, who couldn't use her arms, who couldn't use her legs, who couldn't get out of bed on her own, she had a brilliant mind. She knew how to talk to people. And I think that's one of the most important things. Communication is one of the keys to getting things done in life.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. So you grew it from, in 90 days, 420. And you told me that you went to 1,300 employees. Were they all disabled or some were abled? Tell me about that. What was the dynamics?
Great question. So a big game changer was going to government contracts. Did you happen to read the book, Blue Ocean Strategies?
Not yet, no.
So it's a book that talks, that had a huge impact on the business, because the book talks about there's red oceans and blue oceans. Red oceans is when you're competing in highly competitive waters. And blue oceans, according to the definition of the book, means you have no competition. So a good example of that is Cirque du Soleil. There are hundreds and hundreds of circuses, small, national, global. But Cirque du Soleil is a combination of ballet, opera, gymnastics, opera. They have no competition. And in 20 years, they made more money than the whole circus industry has throughout time.
Wow.
And I took that book to heart, and I thought, how can I create my business so I'm not competing with every other call center? Because the business I had was a call center, a government call center. And Rafael, there are literally thousands and thousands of call centers globally. But ours was unique because our unique value proposition, it was a for-profit social enterprise run by a woman specialized in government contracts. And becoming that specialized, so for some of your listeners who are business owners and they want to know, how can I be different? Believe it or not, having a social mission could give you more business, more attention, especially if you're in a highly competitive industry where you're you offer a commodity. So believe it or not, the unique workforce we provided was a discriminator in terms of how finding people to hiring people on the senior management team. And from a sales perspective, I think people are basically good, and they love the idea of supporting a business that hires people with the greatest barriers to work. And oh, by the way, who does good work. So I didn't answer your question. The answer was, you asked how many of my workforce had challenges. 50% of our workforce lived in the most economically challenged areas. They were from the most impoverished parts of this country. The other percentage were either people with disabilities or disabled veterans, military spouse or military spouses. So from month to month, because we had such large contracts, the stats varied, but I would say at any given time, about 55% of our workforce were either from the most impoverished areas or had some type of disability or were veteran or military spouse.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Thank you for that, by the way. You know, one of the things that I always say is that we can't count somebody out just because of what they're not able to do, but we got to look at what they're able to do. You found that.
Beautifully said. And the truth is that people with disabilities stayed 2 to 3 years in a call center industry where you're lucky if you get people to stay 4 or 5 months. High, rapid turnover. But the people with the barriers to work, they were so grateful to work that they stayed.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So government contracts is really what took you to the edge, if you will, right?
It did. It was a game changer.
Yeah. So you also mentioned that in private that you had sold that company.
I did.
How long did you have it, and what made you decide that it was time to move on?
I had the company for 20 years, and I knew, by the way, I don't know if this is relevant to your listeners, but as a business person, you know this. If you're not a chief financial officer, and you, whatever business you have, you always have to stay incredibly connected to your chief financial officer because you don't have a business without your numbers. Our chief financial officer had a valuation, and I wanted to sell sooner. And he kept saying, you have to have enough business across multiple clients. You have to reach a certain stage to make yourself viable and really marketable to sell. And so at the time that we sold, we had a plethora of clients. I didn't have all the business located with one client. So from a sales standpoint, we were at our optimal sales period. And that's why I chose to sell them, because our CFO said, you're there.
This is the time.
This is the time, because, and that could be a whole other topic, Rafael. I don't know if you'd ever want to go into it, getting your business ready to sell. What people don't know is you don't
do a different show on that. Come to my business prowess show and we'll talk about that for sure.
Okay. But your bottom line is you never wait till you have a fire sale. You should be really innovative entrepreneurs. They look at the sale first, the end game first. But time not to look at the sale is when you're hurting. You have to look at that sale many, many years in advance. So I started the business knowing that one day I would sell it. And the reason that's important, it's like selling a house. If you're getting a house for sale, it's not going to happen overnight. You have to start building upgrades so that every upgrade you do will maximize the sale of a house. And that's the same thing that could be said about a business. I know you agree with me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, if you don't beautify the house along the way and you let it crumble, you won't get the market share. You won't even get above market share. So one of the things is I left one of my houses to my ex-wife, is that it was so upgraded because the value went from a couple of $100,000 to millions, because of those upgrades and the
Yeah.
beautifying of it. But we enjoyed it too. We didn't just do it to sell it, but we did it because we were enjoying it as well, right? So that I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we have to think about in business, that we have to continue to build on the business to make it better for our employees, to make it better for anyone who in our customers. It's not just our employees, but our customers as well. So there's two different types of people that we have to satisfy in business.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad you agree with me too.
Yeah. Now, Rafael, this conversation has traipsed many key areas of your interest. Business, finding your life work, exercise, wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all connected.
Oh, absolutely. There's a role that we play in life, and sometimes you listen to the voice when you asked, right? But so many people ask, and the voice doesn't always come as they expected, and it
Yes.
cannot always be the same message that you wanted to hear. It may be a different message, but you listened. And that's the reality of it. Most people don't listen to the messages and they're like, I have no idea. Well, be quiet for a minute and listen.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
And believe what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
Don't doubt it.
Yeah. Because you heard medical and you're like, what? I don't do that. Right?
Well, I had a lifetime in health related marketing and
but
sales.
not in that area, right?
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Incredible. So, Mary, you decided, how long has it been since you sold your business, and what was your next step after doing so?
I sold the business first quarter 2024. So it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
And the next step was, I knew I had this book in me.
Mm-hmm.
And my life is filled with so much joy because I just became a member of Rotary. I do volunteer work. I take painting classes. Everything I do is just infused with joy.
Love it. Love it. So you do volunteer work. Why do you do volunteer work? Why is that an important part of who you are?
Because I think for those much has been given, much is expected. It's my way of paying forward, paying back. I mentor people, business people who can't afford coaches. But everything I do, it's because I try to pass forward my skills, my talents, because I want to leave this earth. I'm not going to leave it with any money with me. But what I will hopefully leave is helping people who were just lost and confused, feeling alone. If I do that, I've accomplished something.
Now you are already doing it. Look at how many people, when you did have your business, how many people you gave a chance who nobody else was giving them a chance because they're in bed. They can't get out of bed, right?
Yeah.
You saw past that. Your husband introduced you to someone, and this particular woman showed you that, hey, thank you for giving me a chance. Look what I could do, right? That was beautiful. So
Rafael, I'd like to.
You're helping people. Go for it. Yes, I want to hear it. Go.
I'd like to share a story that changed my life.
Absolutely.
So I was fired. Not. And by the way, I was operating in this world of below. I call it below ground zero. Didn't know where the next paycheck. Didn't know how I was going to do anything. But I started this business in the midst of great uncertainty. So for your listeners, sometimes you don't have to know all the answers before you start. But through my husband, a man was referred to me named Tom. I'm allowed to use his name, Tom Hauska. He's since passed. So this is a man who served in Vietnam, came back to the U.S. totally fine, shortly after he came back from Vietnam, he fell off a roof, broke his back, and was confined to a wheelchair for 29 years.
Oh, wow.
So he was referred to me, and this is a man who, again, couldn't get out of bed by himself. And the day after Christmas, I mean, I'd hired him, he'd worked for me 3 or 4 months. His wife sent me a 9-page handwritten letter. And what she said was, I'm writing this to you because for 29 years, my kids and I would come home and we would tell my husband about our days, but he never had anything to tell us. And she said, for the first time in 29 years, we come home. And he is so excited because this is a man who made calls that nobody else would want to make. He made outbound calls for people to renew their insurance. This is what he did all day. And Rafael, there were days he was too sick to get out of bed. So he had our rehab engineers construct a hospital table, a hospital bed table over his bed for when he couldn't get out of work. He didn't want to miss work because he couldn't get out of bed. He did work from his bed with a hospital table over his bed.
Wow.
And I said to my husband, I've affected one disabled veteran. I could do this hundreds of times. And
That's
I
right.
never forget my husband saying, oh, you're just being emotional. And I'm like, no, this is my path. And it was. And we hired hundreds and hundreds of disabled vets, many of them because of PTSD. They couldn't work in a regular office environment. They were too fragile.
That's beautiful. I mean, wow. Excuse me. That's truly, truly incredible. So if you had to leave a message in a bottle and it was read 500 years from now, what would that message be?
Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Don't worry about the money. The money will come if you just do work that's aligned with what your mission is. Rafael, I don't know if you agree with this, but I truly believe everybody has a mission. You just have to have the courage to figure it out. And there are ways to figure it out.
Yeah. One of the things that I always say a lot of times is the cemetery is full of what? And a lot of people say dead bodies.
Right.
And I say dead dreams. Because people dreamt, but they never shared. They never expanded on their dreams. They didn't take action. And they didn't even tell anybody. They just had these dreams for themselves and didn't voice them out.
Right.
So, Mary, when you talked about your 2 daughters as a single mom, what was their take now that you can talk back to them and say, even ask them questions? Do you know what their take was on what they saw you going through?
At first they didn't know, because I mean, here they are scared because I had to cancel subscriptions, all the frills we had, just cut them out because we couldn't afford them. But I can tell you now, they are so proud. They're so proud of me, and the 2 of them have always lived lives with their heart because they saw me do it.
Right. That's beautiful.
And to your listeners, if you choose not to be with your heart, your kids will know it. But if you choose to be with your heart, your kids will know it.
Yeah. The heart doesn't lie, for sure.
No.
It does not lie. When we think about business, business doesn't happen without people. I know that AI is trying to do that, right? AI is trying to even make clones of people. I had an AI expert the other day offered to make a clone of me.
Oh, did you say yes?
I said, let me think about it, right? Because can you imagine if you were right now talking to a clone of me? How would this conversation be? Would it be real?
Yeah.
But that's what they're
That's
offering.
true.
That's what's going to wind up.
Wow.
Now there's people doing shows that they're starting to do with AI. And not only one person's
Wow.
AI, but two people are AI. So what are we really looking at, right? So
Wow.
I rather not be cloned. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Unless that cloning could go wash my bathroom, then I'll take it.
Yeah, totally.
Right. But you know, I think that we're very far from that fully happening, but we're very close to, right? Just like we
Yeah.
never thought that there would be electrical vehicles out there, and now they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And the more that we look at technology, technology is truly advancing. But do we get on that wagon, or do we fall off, or do we stay behind and it just goes ahead of us and we're lost? So we
Yeah.
have to balance that out, right, with technology. What are your thoughts on technology nowadays?
I'm not threatened by it. I'm attracted to it, used in the right way.
Mhm.
I think if people worry about jobs, but you're always going to need the human element. Even in the call center industry, it was
Mhm.
going through a major transformation because AI could take a whole bunch of calls that humans did, but the more complicated calls, you still need a person.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
still need a person.
I've been seeing things of AI receptionists.
Yeah.
So that, and it's even been offered to me, you know, have someone answer the phone for me, and you give them all the prompts and all that good stuff, and that's
Yeah.
okay to balance a couple of things out. But you're right, when it comes to the deeper issues, we still need to have that conversation. So the AI has to still say, let me connect you with somebody, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I got to tell you, AI is not going anywhere. And actually, I think it's at the beginning stages. I can only imagine what 30 years from now would look like with AI.
Yes.
And if we don't jump on it now, it may be way too late later, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We don't know what we don't know yet, especially the legal aspects.
True, true. Can you imagine? And it's very interesting because I had a client of mine yesterday talk to me about, oh, their neck is hurting. They have 3 herniated discs, and he said there's nothing that he can do. His doctor said he's going to have good days, he's going to have bad days, the whole deal. And I said, wouldn't it be great if there was this little box like they did in Star Trek, and they come and put it on the back of your neck, and in 3 seconds you're cured? I said, don't worry,
It might
that's going
happen.
to happen with AI.
It'll happen. Yeah.
It's going to happen, right? But that's where the technology should definitely, we should embrace it, right? Because
Yes.
they're also saying you and I are going to be able to live longer because of AI, right?
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Can I share another video with you if you don't mind?
Sure. Sure.
Okay, take a look. This is something that we're doing in Tampa, Florida. Everybody, we'd love for you to come and join us in Tampa. This one, I hope, inspires you to say yes to joining us. Take a look.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event, it's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds, a movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation inspiration, that's the sound. NYC Experience Mastermind, where purpose is found.
Boom. Come to Tampa with us.
That
Come and
looks
have some fun.
glorious.
Say that again?
I said it looks glorious.
Oh, it's so much fun. I got to tell you, so happy that we started this New York City Mastermind experience. And not only we've done it in New York a bunch of times, and now we're taking it to Tampa. After that, we're going to Ireland and Chicago, Atlanta.
Cool.
So we're taking it a lot of different places. So, Mary, you need to come and join us. It will be so much fun.
It would be great. I have a whole bunch of travel going on, but
Mhm.
I will absolutely keep it in mind.
Absolutely. So when you think about your book, what made you write your book?
That voice. I knew I was meant. I wrote it. I started writing it like 4 or 5 years before I sold the business. I just knew I have a message that the world needs. And
Right.
I feel like conversations with people like you is my fulfilling what I'm supposed to do. I feel called, just like you do.
Hmm. Yeah. Fired to Inspired, right? And your website is going across the bottom. It's firedtoinspired.com. What can people expect when they come to your website?
They're going to have access to 2 free workbooks that they could download, helping them to sort through how do you get past fear. Because as we talked about, Rafael, a lot of people stay stuck in fear and they never realize their dreams. On the other thing that keeps people stuck is they don't know what they're meant to do with their life. I mean, you didn't wake up one day and say, I'm interested in body, business, helping people find their careers. It all happened with the process.
Mhm.
You discovered what you love, not one day you woke up and knew it. I'm assuming that it was
Correct.
a process of work that you did. It was like, wow, I really like this. I'm helping people.
Mhm.
So it's 2 free workbooks and just learning more about me, who I am, and my offerings.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And Mary, you said something really powerful earlier. You said that one of the things that you do is you help people who cannot afford a business coach,
Yeah.
but they're looking to advance themselves. Now, a lot of people don't understand the value until they're in your presence. And so some people go, oh, free business coaching, oh, that's not going to help me. But when they're in your presence, I can already tell that they're going to get so much from you. Do you ask them to pass it forward so that they can help someone who may also be in need down the line when they become successful, right?
Right. I should. And Rafael, just so you know, the people I do free coaching for come as referrals from nonprofits that help business owners find their way. You ask a really good question and you just gave me pause for thought. It's something I should ask. A lot of times the ones that have been incredibly successful, I'll suggest that they do contributions to the nonprofits or that they speak to other business owners about their successes and talk about how they found success.
Yeah, because it's passing it forward, right?
Yeah.
Why you do what you're doing, because you
Yes.
feel you have to pass it forward, right? Same
Yeah.
thing that I do. I'm always trying to. I get a lot of business coaches calling me for advice, and I'm happy to do it. And I don't charge them, so they'll reach out to me and they'll go, how would you handle this? How'd you do this? And so I give them the advice and we go on our merry ways. So it's not me saying, hey, I'm going to only give you this advice if you pay me. No, it's just to help somebody, right? Who may be
Yeah.
stuck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rafael,
Mary,
I'm
thank
so
you
sorry to
so
do
much. Go ahead.
what?
I'm listening.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have another call. I only allotted till 11.
Yeah, perfect. So this is
Sorry.
exactly, we have 7 seconds. Thank you everybody for joining us. Do me a favor, if you found any value in this call, share it with somebody. Somebody needs to hear this message. Mary, again, thank you so much. Looking forward to our continued connection.
Rafael, this is beautiful, and you're so good at what you do, and it was a joy to get to know you deeper. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's talk again. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Take care.